Today we're here for my 2025 AFL Finals predictions. We always go through these every single year, and we've waited a little bit longer this time round after the Wednesday game, but we now know the top 8, we know the fixtures, we know the scheduling, so I'm going to be giving it a crack at going through my predictions for every single game. Feel free to leave your predictions down below, who you think's going to get through to the finals, and I've got a couple of exciting videos potentially involving AFL creators with the finals predictions coming up shortly as well. Like I did last year, I set an ambitious subscriber goal by grand final day. We're going to go 58,000. We want to set a big amount. We probably need another 2,500, but with all the stuff that I have to come on the channel, it's probably doable. So do yourself a favor, check if you subscribe to the channel. If you're not, hit that subscribe button. Let's start off the count well, because the ultimate goal is 60,000 by the end of the year. So the first game is on the Thursday. We kind of knew about this fixture a couple of days ago. Adelaide taking on Collingwood at the Adelaide Oval. It's going to be an exciting one that a lot of people are looking forward to. We saw a really good game a few weeks ago against the Crows and the Pies, and we've seen some really thrilling games, normally the ones where Collingwood seem to get up, but finally the Crows have got the one up on the Pies, and I just think overall they're heading into this final campaign with a lot better form. Collingwood have kind of limping over the line. You know, off the bat, in terms of what I'm feeling, I'm not really feeling too confident on the Pies. They can win on their day. They can win against most sides on their day, but you're going to have to take a really solid Collingwood effort to get up away from home at the Adelaide Oval, because you're going to get a 54,000 crowd again, probably. Collingwood, they're going to be without Jeremy Howe, and he's their backbone in the defense. That's why they've been losing a lot of their games in the last 5 or 6 weeks. But they've also had lots of plays out of form. Whereas Adelaide, yes, they won't have Rankin. That's obvious. They probably won't have Rochelle, but they've just got such a solidified defense. You know, their midfield's going pretty well at the moment, and their forward line's just as dangerous as any side in the comp. It's going to be very hard for me to go against the grain and tip the Pies. The Pies are that side that can go on the road and win. They've got the finals experience, but I am liking Adelaide here, and I think after finishing first, you really should be winning. I'm going to say Adelaide win the game, and with how badly out of form Pies seem to be in against the top 8 sides, we'll say Adelaide win the game by 26 and move to a home prelim final. So next game, Friday night footy, Geelong, Brisbane at the MCG. Now, you can say what you want to say, that the Cats deserve this game to be played at GMHBA, but finals are played at the G, so you got to be winning them there regardless, and the Cats have experience at the MCG, so they should stop complaining. I'm looking forward to this game in terms of the first week of finals, probably the most in terms of what I think will probably be the most entertaining game, because I think these two sides are the more likely sides to go on and win the flag. There's a good chance the winner of this game is the favourite to go through and win the flag, because they've just got that finals experience. The Cats have been in finals every year just about, in Brisbane, winning the flag last year. They've been in some really good form, and yes, they have a few injuries, but they've been getting their plays coming up into the team and really doing their role. For example, someone like a Bruce Reveal. Yeah, this is going to be a tough one to predict. Brisbane play arguably their best footy away from home. You've seen this year. They've been able to beat sides at the MCG in Hawthorn and Collingwood, so they haven't got it for years to play at the G. They won at the G twice last year in the finals. It's the Cats. Do they stand up with a bit of a weaker end to 2025, just in terms of their fixturing and playing sort of the weaker opposition? Is that going to play a bit of a sort of road bump for them a little bit? I don't know. I kind of want to tip Brisbane here. I just think at the MCG, they might do what they did last year. They've got, I reckon, at their very best, when they play their very best footy, they've got the one up over Geelong, and they're just sort of priming themselves for a home prelim final if they win this game. So yeah, I'm tipping a really close game of footy here. I think the Cats are every chance of winning. It is at the MCG, but I'm going to go the Lions to win this game at the qualifying final at the MCG, and they'll move on to a second prelim final at home. Right, we move to Saturday elimination finals, and we start at NG Stadium. So we've got GWS Hawthorn. This game's played at 3:15, so it's the earlier game on the Saturday. Now, GWS, you think by the time in a week they'd be returning some plays. Josh Kelly, Jesse Hogan, Jack Buckley, strengthening their lineup. Hawthorn might have Weddle back in the finals as well. Now, we haven't seen a final take place between these two sides. Off the bat, though, I'm feeling more the Giants, just the home side. I think the Giants, of all the teams outside the top 4, are capable of doing most damage. We see them go on runs. We saw their third quarter against Sydney. They played just about as perfect footy as you can play, and that's the sort of footy that will win you games in September. Whereas Hawthorn, they've been really strong. You know, they got a great win over Collingwood. Their last few weeks of form has been good. But in some of these big games, especially away from home, like the Brisbanes, like the Dockers, I think they had another game, it might have been against Gold Coast. They haven't been able to complete it for 4 quarters. And I might be seeing a similar trend here. I just think there's Giants at home. Yes, they choked a couple of games last year, but I think I back him to win this game. I mean, the Hawks are a very good chance. It's going to be a hard one to predict, and I think it'll be pretty close. But I'm going to say the Giants get up. You can see the scoreline down below, obviously, as well, but I'll go 88-77. Giants by 11. And the final of week 1 that we know about, and this is between Freo and Gold Coast at Optus Stadium. What a weird final to have. I mean, Gold Coast have never played in a final series before, so just straight off the bat, having them in any of these finals games is going to be weird. But Freo as well, they're not often in finals. They easily could have missed out if they lost to the Bulldogs, and it just makes up for a really interesting contest here because this one's at Optus Stadium, so Freo have a lot more of the advantage. They're going to have like 99% of the crowd. It's going to be a similar atmosphere to what it was when Richmond played the Giants or when Collingwood played the Giants. But how many are going to want to turn up for Gold Coast first final? I'm considering it myself, but as much as I want the Suns to win, I also like Freo here. And if they played even remotely close to how they did, especially in that second quarter, but for most of that game against the Bulldogs, they will beat most sides. They're going to be a threat. I didn't think too much of the Dockers as a threat. Yeah, they were winning games throughout the year, but I didn't think heaps of them. At home here, they could do some damage, whereas Gold Coast, they haven't played finals before. I just have that fear that they might not be ready, that they might crumble under the finals pressure away from home in front of a massive crowd. And like in other videos, with these finals predictions, over the course of the week, like when I do my finals week 1 tips next week, opinions might change. I might think something a little bit differently. Players might be injured. You know, you never know what might end up happening. But at the moment, I'm actually tipping a massive win to Freo. I just think Freo will stand up to the pressure and Gold Coast won't. And I fear it. And I hope it doesn't happen if they end up going to the game, because that'd be kind of shit. But I'm going to go Freo to win the final at home, and I'm going to go by 47 points. So we move now to the first hypothesized game. We've got the Pies and we've got the Giants. First semi-final at the MCG. This should be a really belter of a contest because we've seen Collingwood take on the Giants at the MCG in previous finals, and pretty much all of them have been thrillers. They've been low-scoring thrillers, but they've been close games nonetheless. A game like this, like, yeah, the Pies would still be going into them favourites. Here at the MCG, like I said with the Freo Gold Coast game, that the crowd dominance is going to be so obvious. However, I don't rate the Pies massively heading into this finals campaign, and I rate the Giants at the moment more than I do rate the Pies. And for all sides to go and knock off Collingwood at the MCG away from home, you know, after winning their first final and doing it the hard way, it's the Giants. I feel like it's the Giants that can do exactly that. They need to start finding plays in the right form. So obviously I'm predicting the future, but if I had this game come up and the Pies did come off a loss, maybe it's my Collingwood hatred. You can give me a shit if you want. I predicted the Pies to go in straight sets a couple of years ago and they won the flag, but I'm going to go again in my finals predictions. I'm going to predict the Pies to go out in straight sets because I just think the Giants, that they've got so much ability, and I think they can make a bit of a run in 2025 like they did 2019. Also, in the semis, we've got Geelong Freo. Now, I'm assuming this will be on the Saturday night at the MCG. The Dockers would have belief after last week, kind of similar to 2022 when they won against the Bulldogs and they moved on and played the Pies. But I think it'll be a similar result to their loss against the Pies, where they don't get off to a great start, and the Cats always feel like the side that are like 3 or 4 goals better. And it just so happens to like just sort of crawl out the margin, and the Dockers might get a couple goals late. I don't think the game here would be a very high scoring one either. I'm honestly just going off what the gut feel would be if a game like this happened, because that's what predicting is, isn't it? So I just think the Cats, they're a stronger side, a stronger outfit than the Dockers. You know, for fun, I could predict an upset here, but ultimately, I don't think Freo are going to just bring their A game against these top sides away for long enough in this final series, and they're going to eventually fall short, and I'm going to see it happening against the Cats. It's going to be low scoring, scrappy, Cats by 15 in a somewhat alright game in the semis as we move to the prelim finals. We've got 2 massive prelim finals. This, I think, will be the Friday game. Adelaide taking on Geelong. They get the 2-week break. They, you know, should be fit. They should be fired up. They should have plays in potentially in Rochelle. I still don't know exactly where his sort of TBA is, but I think that's really the only player that they're not going to have in the side, apart from maybe, well, obviously Rankin, I've said before. Geelong would be coming off the win against Freo. They'd, you know, have a bit of fire under the belly after a good win. I think Adelaide will go into this game favourites. Like, you're never going to want to play Adelaide away from home, especially in a final like this. Remember 2017? Adelaide still are a bit raw. First finals campaign, I know they finished first on the ladder, but a lot of the times when sides are in their first finals campaign, there's just one game where they may not be 100% with their mindset. They may succumb to the nerves and the pressure, and I just feel like Geelong won't do that because they're such a strong side of the Adelaide Oval. They won against the Crows earlier this year, last year in the qualifying final. They beat Port Adelaide. They've been such a strong side away from home, the Cats, at the Adelaide Oval, that I can really see them getting a win here away from home. Whereas Adelaide, I could perhaps see them kicking themselves out of this game with bad inaccuracy or something. Something will be wrong for the Crows. Yeah, I know it's an upset in this sort of scenario, but I don't know if I have Adelaide going through to the grand final. And maybe if they had Rankin, I'd change my mind. But I am going to be tipping the Cats to go to the grand final. They're going to do it the hard way, and I'm going to say they win by 30 points. 118 to 88, moving to a grand final. Second prelim final is Brisbane GWS. How good will this be if it was a prelim? Yes, it's away from the MCG. There won't be an MCG prelim if this ends up being, the true final series. But I would love to see a game like this. Brisbane GWS have always played off in some belting finals, and I think you can almost come to expect this one to be close as well. It is at the Gabba, so obviously the Lions have that advantage. But the Lions haven't really utilised that to their advantage heaps this season. They've been a bit of a shaky side at the Gabba against some of the top sides a bit. They've lost 4 games. They've won 7, and the Giants have been able to beat them there in the last few occasions. So, I would not be shocked at all if the Giants can do this the hard way and make a result of this and get a win to move into the grand final. They've been able to do it before. Brisbane's best in finals is probably better, but the Lions haven't been the most accurate side in the last few years. They've been able to, we saw against Hawthorn, they've missed heaps of shots. Again, I could see just a game where bad kicking lets them down and the Giants are just, on song. And I would expect one of these sort of games to be a bit of a shootout. Brisbane GWS, probably like last year's final, would be a pretty high scoring game. I think the Giants actually could win this in an upset. So that's what my prediction is. I'm going to go the Giants to win 10 points. They're going to do it the really hard way, winning 3 finals, getting to the grand final. It's been done before. Brisbane did it last year from 5th. The Giants did it again in 2019. And in 2016, the Bulldogs did it. So it's very capable. And I'm going to be tipping it to happen again. So the Giants get through. Lions are out. And they play off the Cats in the grand final. So it's grand final. Geelong, GWS. I could just picture the commenters right now saying, this is so unrealistic. This is never going to happen. Brisbane should be in it. Adelaide should be in it. Collingwood should be in it. Whatever you want to say. This is my prediction. You really can't put it past something like this happening. Being at the MCG, the Cats, you'd be expected to have them as the favourites. They've got obviously more of the experience. Chris Scott, great coach. And I mean, if this is the Cats' 4th final in a row, could Jezza Cameron be a chance at 100 goals? Imagine that's also a bit of a storyline ahead of this grand final. The Giants would be their 2nd grand final, and they shut the bed the first time they played there, losing by 89 points. And all Sydney sides in the last 4 or 5 grand finals have all shut the bed and lost by big margins. It does not help GWS's cause, but I'd be certainly tipping the Cats in a game like this. I just think if the Cats are through in a grand final is really different. A grand final, it's just the whole preparation, everything about it's different. And the Cats have sort of been there before. Chris Scott's been there before. Adam Kingsley hasn't. So I just think when it comes down to it, the Cats are going to be switched on and the Giants might have another really bad game like against Richmond. And I'd be tipping Geelong, honestly, by 52 points because there's so many times that you get blowouts in grand finals and a lot of the time people aren't, bold enough to predict it. If Geelong play the Giants, I would probably predict a bit of a blowout as much as I really want the Giants to compete. I'd be supporting the Giants in this game, but the Cats are such a professional outfit. So, yeah, my 2025 premiership prediction, I'm going to go the Cats. And they'd be doing it the hard way, winning games away, losing the first week. I have a feeling that they're going to be the side to get it done. And this is just off the top of my head, but I actually am going to go Sean Manor to win the Norm Smith medal. That could be such a left field call that no one would be thinking, but he has these games. I think he won the Norm Smith in the VFL, whatever you want to call that, a couple of years ago for Werribee. I could really see Sean Manor turning it up in the big time and maybe kicking 3 or 4 goals if they get a big win and having 20 plus disposals. So anyways, those are my finals predictions for 2025. Feel free to drop hate down below. As always, people do like to put hate in, but we don't know what's going to happen. We'll see how many games we can get right. I remember Henchy in 2023 got every single game right. So if I can somehow do this for a game where I'm predicting teams to go in straight sets and go to the grand final from 5th, I'd be a freaking genius. So uncork the genie, Crows to win first game, lock it in, and we'll go from there.